I feel like going sober at as young of an age that I am has been so weird and has felt so dystopian in today's type of culture. I always want to go hang out with friends a lot, and 99% of the time it's just, oh, we're going to go out to the bar. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm probably can't join for that because I don't want to be there. And it's like a lot of people nowadays kind of, I don't know really how to say it, but it's kind of like if you're not drinking or if you're not smoking, you're not fun, you know? And it's weird because today I wanted to tell a couple stories or highlighted moments that I can remember when I was during my partying era of being sober. Let's see if I can talk this episode. That's a common theme here. But yeah, first off, for some context, I was a daily weed smoker for God knows how long. I've lost track at this point. But I fully went sober back in December because I had a pretty bad panic attack. And it was because of the edible that I had. And after that, I was kind of just like, okay, I'm good. But there were some fun moments I guess, partying, living it up. One of those ones, it felt fun, but I was so incredibly anxious the entire time that I literally wanted to crawl into a hole and die. So, not literally, but I was just scared as hell. Basically, me and my friend at the time went to a park nearby at like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. and we both had edibles. I think I actually had two of them at the time. But we went into the woods and all we had was our flashlights, or like our phone flashlights, and my phone was already at 20% battery this day, so it was off to a great start. But yeah, we took the edibles and walked down from our house to the park, and this was already like 15 to 20 minute walk. So as we're walking, things kind of slowly start to kick in, and we get to the park. And originally our intentions were to just walk on the trails. Soon enough, we found like this dirt path on the trail and started following that instead of the sidewalk path that we were on. And as we were going in, I was reading some notifications on my phone, and it turns out that, or maybe it wasn't a notification, I literally just knew, but last night, or the night before this all happened, there was a huge rainstorm, and a lot of the trail that we were in was flooded, and it was muddy water, and it was gross. But as we continued on, I kind of started to realize that it was getting really, really dark outside, and I was starting to become more and more nervous, and I'm super blind. Like, my vision is horrible, and I honestly, I don't even have glasses or contacts, but it has just been deteriorating so much as the years have gone on. So my vision at night is god awful. But we started walking super late at night, and for no reason whatsoever, we started talking about horror creatures when we're in the middle of a dark trail. And in this note that I put, I start tripping balls. Thankfully it got interrupted because we heard one of our friend's car over in the distance, and apparently it was him. Like, it was his exact exhaust. We were in the middle of the woods, and my friend recognized his other friend's exact car exhaust and called him and was like, "Hey, are you blah 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 blah?" I don't know. That was kind of crazy. But we were literally like super far away, and supposedly his exhaust was 12 seconds behind, because I guess it was some time tracking thing that he knew of. I didn't understand any of it at all. I was just surprised that we heard that when we were out in the middle of the woods. But anyway, we started looking out into the woods and saw lights. And I was like, bro, we gotta go out there. And we did. There was, like I said earlier, there was a huge rainstorm a couple of days ago. So there were like inches of rain. And we got to the bottom part of the trail and it was completely flooded. I'm talking like shallow river type vibe, where the trail kind of just went into the ground and that was it. But we had to adventure around the trail in the muddy water and find a way to get back up to the main trail, because basically the trail that we were on only went one way and we had to get around it so we could continue on the path. So we went into the woods off of the trail, still high off of edibles, trying to find our way through. And I'm not even joking when I say this, it took us 20 minutes to get around the single, maybe like, I want to say it was maybe 10 feet or 15 feet of water we had to cross. And we had to adventure for like 20 minutes extra. We were crossing rivers, finding intricate paths, getting stabbed with thorns, still super high, and then the second edible started to kick in while we were doing this. So I obviously didn't know where I was. I was in the middle of the woods, super late at night, and my phone was about to die. I was freaking out. And for one river, we had to cross a tree that was super, super shaky. It was one of those like dead trees that had fallen over onto the ground, but it was creating a bridge to go over the river. So we had to cross it because there was no other way. And it was not stable at all. It was very, like I said, it was very shaky. And I was paranoid. My friend went first because I was like, there's no way I'm going first. But then I went after him and I was literally like, I'm reading off everything off of my notes and also like diving into what I remember as well. But anyway, I slowly made my way across and I struggled so much. My brain couldn't wrap my head around how to cross this log safely and effortlessly, so I just ended up sitting on the log for like 2 minutes straight trying to figure out how to cross. I'm literally just sitting there above a river on a shaky log instead of just crossing it. And eventually I stopped chickening out and I just jumped across and I delved my hand into this giant thorn bush. And while we got back towards the trail, I was just picking these thorns out of my hand the entire time, completely regretting the decision to get high and go do this stuff. I was so paranoid during this whole entire time. We finally made it to the trail, and the trail split off in 2 different directions. One that went back to the woods, and one that goes toward a church that we knew of. I was really scared, and didn't want to go in the woods any longer, so we headed to the church. And this trail was so old that it was covered in leaves and nobody had clearly walked on it. Because it wasn't even, I don't think it was fall. It was, it had to have been fall because there were leaves. But like nobody was clearly keeping up with this trail at all. And the trees made it seem like we were walking up a sewer drain. Like, this isn't a trail and this area was built specifically for water to drain. I thought this because I was tweaking and thought we weren't heading home. And I did not think we were going to make it home. This is how scared I was the entire time. I genuinely thought that me and my friend were going to die out in the woods. And then my friend started talking about how if he died right now, I would not survive. Which I don't think I would have. I think I literally would have had like a panic attack and died right there on the spot, probably. But we eventually made it to a field outside of the church, and my eyes saw freedom. But there was an obstacle stopping us. A no trespassing sign. Bro, it says no trespassing. How are we supposed to get home? And then my friend goes, let's just go. It'll be fine. And that immediately made me feel like, oh, great. Okay, fun. This is so fun. This is so great. I love this so much. We're just going. I was so high that I thought we were going to get shot the second we stepped in because a lot of people have guns in this town. No, they don't. This is not a gun town at all. I was super paranoid the entire time, even when I was writing this too, because I pretty much wrote this entire note log that I'm reading right now the day after, so I wouldn't forget about this. Along the entire walk through the field, I was coming up with an alibi. We got lost in the woods and recognized the church, so we headed for it. Keep in mind, this whole entire time, I thought we were walking on a trail that would end up leading us to something like the altruist cult from GTA 5. Another time, when me and my friends walked on this trail, we saw the lights from the church while we were heading towards there, and surprise, surprise, we were high again. Because we had a tradition of walking out to the woods, like smoking a joint and then coming back. And I would always become the super paranoid one. So one time when we were walking back towards the church, the lights from it started to like move within the trees. And I like stopped and I'm like, guys, you see that? And I'm like looking at the lights at the church that are like, they were like moving up and down, like someone was, like a group of people was marching towards us. And I was like, oh my God, it's a cult. So now anytime that I don't now, but anytime that we would go through those woods afterwards, I would just get so paranoid that there was like some type of cult after us. So that just became a common thing for me to be worried about. And while we were walking in the tall grass, we noticed a pretty big log, and I stepped on it and thought it was a freaking anaconda. I literally screamed like a little girl, and because snakes are my biggest fear, and I cannot do snakes at all. That and blood. But the chance that there is an anaconda in the middle of where we live is incredibly low. But in my head, I still thought it was a super big anaconda. And I started telling my friend, back up, stop moving, stop, because I let out a huge gasp. He goes ahead and steps on it, and the front of the log burst up, and I thought it was an anaconda head going to bite or even worse, kill him. At this point, I would have been fine to get home if my friend actually died, but I don't want my bro to die. I let out the biggest gasp because I genuinely thought he was gonna die. But then 2 seconds later, I realized, oh, it's a steak. Well, we continued through the field and made it to the church parking lot, and apparently they had third shift cleaners. And I was staring at a dude for 10 seconds straight because I thought it was a mannequin. And it turns out I was making eye contact with him the whole entire time. So I quickly just looked away and then just made my way back home with my friend. And we continued through the church and everybody made it home. Dear God. Couple things I want to say. As you can clearly tell, weed has always put me in a super anxious state of mind. It has never done anything good for me. I used to always use it to escape from my anxiety and escape from all my stress and problems. But what I never realized was the more and more I did it, the more and more it was just creating more anxiety. And that is one of my biggest reasons for going sober. Because I always relied on things that give you anxiety to relieve anxiety. And that's not how math works, you know. It's like trying to put out a fire with fuel. You're literally just going to be igniting it even more until your brain literally cannot take it anymore, you know. So that was one of my big reasons for stopping, where yes, it was fun to do it socially with friends sometimes, but the more and more and more I did that stuff, the more reckless I would get, the more anxious I would get, the more manic I would get. There were so many things that were so bad about any there were so many things that were so bad about any under the influence type things that me and all my friends did. And nowadays, it's so hard to go and hang out with people my age because 99% of the time, all they want to do is smoke or drink. And I'm just like, I kind of just want to vibe and play DS games with you. Like, I really don't expect much. We can literally just be sitting there scrolling on TikTok together, and that will be totally fine as a hangout for me. But it's like, this is too boring. Let's get high. No, we don't have to do that. Like, I don't understand, man. It's annoying that a lot of people my age only want to get high or drink. And I know there's also a majority of people that don't like that stuff too. And that is a good thing, but it just seems like anyone I ever try to hang out with, that's all they want to do. And to me, it's just the biggest turnoff ever. I don't mind that people do it, but when you have to do it at every single hangout because things are getting boring or whatever the reasoning is, it just becomes so redundant and so annoying and so just... I don't even know how to explain it. It's just not a good look, you know? And I'm kind of ashamed that I was like that for about 3 years. But, you know, that part of my life is over. It's been over for a while. It definitely screwed up some development things, I'll tell you that, because I feel like I got reset 4 years. But, you know, we're pushing through. We're struggling. I basically, the second I entered adulthood, I started smoking weed. And that pretty much just immediately killed all my memory because especially because I have ADHD and my memory is already cooked. But, you know, the constant weed smoking did not help. And now that I'm like actually an adult and I'm trying to live on my own and get my stuff figured out, there are so many basic things that I was taught as a kid that now I'm having such a hard time trying to remember how to do. Like, when I first moved into this place, I had never really used a dishwasher, to be honest. I've only ever put the stuff in the dishwasher. I've never started it because, you know, that was just my parents' job when I was a kid. So, the first thing my brain did was put dish soap in the detergent thing. And I quickly found out later that night that dish soap does not go in the detergent thing. And I was just watching YouTube and soap bubbles just started piling out of my dishwasher and I was like freaking out. And yeah, when I initially moved in here, my anxiety was so bad, and I know it's because of all the weed smoking that I was doing. And it just did a number to my brain that I'm still trying to recover from. I actually just got this stick it's not a vape, but it's basically flavored air that you just suck in, and it kind of gets rid of that feeling of needing to like suck on a vape or something. It's something that has no nicotine or anything like that. It's purely because every time I'm stressed out, I want to stim and hit like a weed cartridge or a vape cartridge, but obviously I'm not gonna do that, but I still want to have that feeling, you know, so it can like clear my head. So I actually just recently got that, and I'm hoping that'll help out. But yeah, the main point of today's video was I just wanted to tell you about how anxiety has kind of made me become sober and why I chose to go sober at 22. You know, it's really interesting to be doing this at my age and seeing so many people want to do all these party drugs and alcohol and whatnot. I don't even know anything about drugs or alcohol too, man. It's just like all of that stuff just seems so gross to me now, and I can't wait to just continue down this sobriety path. And yeah, if you have, if you're not sober and you're watching this, there is literally no judgment whatsoever. I'm just saying this from my point of view. I have really bad anxiety, and when I do influential things like that, it is not good for my anxiety at all. So I encourage, if you have anxiety and you are using weed or alcohol to suppress your anxiety, don't, because it will come back and hit you like a truck. So just be careful. That's all I ask. But anywho, that is it for today's video. Bye-bye!